Thank you all for coming. My name is Imran, and I'm the father of Bilal. I want to greet all of you with the Islamic greeting of peace, which is Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, which means may the peace, mercy, and blessings of God be with you. I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. For many of you, it may be the first time you've ever stepped foot in a mosque. So please don't let it be the last. We're so grateful that you're here. Our doors are always open. We love having guests, and no appointment necessary next time. Show up anytime. Just please come back. It's a request from me and from my son, Bilal. All of you are like family to us, and you have provided us with so much love and support. I don't know how we could have gotten through this without you. It's really hard for me to explain how much your support means to me and my family. I want to welcome you to IAGD, which stands for the Islamic Association of Greater Detroit. That's our masjid. This institution was established in 1978, which means in just 3 years from now, in 2028, will be our 50th anniversary. So I hope all of you can join us then as well. I'm sure it'll be a grand celebration. And the city of Troy is also celebrating their 70th anniversary coming up soon. So we've had a relationship with the city for 50 out of those 70 years. So that's a lot. No, that's no joke. And coincidentally, my family also moved to Michigan in 1978. So I was able to grow up in this mosque, in this institution. So I have a lot of history here. I attended Sunday school here when I was a kid, when this was just a small house similar to the one next door. I've been a Sunday school teacher here. I was a president of the youth group here, as Asad mentioned. And I've been a board member here too, as I served as the treasurer. Going back to my childhood, I've had many of my milestone events here, including my Quran completion ceremony when I was 6 years old, 1981, my wedding in 2004, and now my son's funeral in 2025. So it's really hard. We miss him so much, especially in those quiet moments when you're alone with your thoughts. He comes to me in all the memories that I have of him, which keep flashing through my mind all the time. Bilal's dream was to go to Troy High School. That is really all he ever wanted. He used to talk about it all the time, like which classes he was going to take freshman year, which summer classes he was going to take, what he planned to do, everything. He was so looking forward to it and planning to be there. He was planning to be there. But in our faith, we say that we make plans, and God makes plans, and God is the best planner. High school is a great learning institution, but as I know, and anyone who has gone to high school here knows, it comes with a lot of academic stress and a lot of social stress. So when I look back at it now, I feel that God wanted to protect him from that, even though it was Bilal's dream. Sometimes we don't know what's best for us. God had something better planned for Bilal. But at the same time, God is great. He allowed Bilal to experience his dream. He was able to step foot in the door of Troy High School at freshman orientation. He walked in the door. He belonged there. God allowed him to experience that feeling. And he was so happy that day. But unfortunately, when we left our home to go to the orientation that night, that ended up being the last time he ever stepped foot in our home. He never came back. He went from the high school to the ambulance to Troy Beaumont, and the next day, he went from the hospital right back here to IAGD, where we washed his body in the basement. And from here, he went straight to Whitechapel, and that's where he is now. So that entire sequence of events was his final journey. He never got to come back home. So we miss him so much, but we accept God's decision, regardless of how painful it may be. And we get strength from all of you for being there for us when we needed you the most. And please know that we will need you for the rest of our lives, because this pain will never go away. It may soften over time, but it will never go away. So we will need you. Now, I realize that my son's story is just the story of a single child who has left this world, and it is so painful. But at the same time, I have to recognize that there are thousands of similar stories. There are thousands of children dying every single day in places like Gaza. Each and every single one of those children has parents who are grieving, just like my wife and I. Each and every single one of those children has a story, like my child. And I get to stand in front of all of you here and tell you his story. But those parents don't have that luxury. They may not even be alive themselves. And if they are alive, they're living in tents, with bombs being dropped on them, and nowhere to go. Nowhere to go and be safe. The other day, a school housing displaced people was bombed in Gaza, killing 36 people. It sparked fires in the classrooms where people were sleeping. The victims were mostly children who burned to death. And you can see the video of a child burning in the fire, trying to escape. So thank God my child didn't have to live through that. You can read about the story of Dr. Ala al-Najjar, who was a physician working in a hospital, trying to save people's lives, when a bomb was dropped on her home, killing 9 of her 10 children, and the 10th one being critically injured. So thank God my child didn't have to live through that. And you can read about the story of Hind, who was a small girl in a car with 6 adults, each of whom was shot one by one by one until she was the only one remaining. She got hold of a phone, called her mother, because who else are you going to call at that moment? And then she herself was shot and killed. So thank God my child didn't have to live through that. And then even the 2 ambulance drivers who came to the scene were shot and killed as well. So I understand I lost my child, but it could have been much worse. I live in a country which has every single facility and mechanism in place to help people in an emergency. I lived through it. My wife and I saw it. In my country, high school teachers and staff came to the aid of a child having a medical emergency. There were 4 of them sitting on the floor next to my child, giving him CPR. They had their hands on his chest, and they had their lips on his lips, trying to breathe life into him. And several dozen students from that night formed a human shield around us, facing outwards, giving us some privacy, because there were hundreds of kids in the gym at the time. It was Bilal, his mother, myself, and the 4 teachers on the floor of the gym with a little bit of privacy. I live in a country where the police rushed to the scene in such a frenzy of speeding cars and lights that people outside later told me, in their minds, they thought that it might have been a school shooting. Because unfortunately, that's the world we live in today. And the chief of police, who happens to be married to the HR director at my company, Tyler Technologies, which happens to build software for first responders so that they can get to the scene. That's what we do. The chief of police told his wife the next morning, when he was breaking the news to her, his words were, "We lost a child last night at Troy High." We. I live in a country where the EMS took my son from the high school to the hospital, Troy High School, Troy Beaumont Hospital, same hospital where he was born 14 years earlier, in order to try and save his life. And they didn't have to worry about being shot at while they were transporting him. I live in a country where the doctors and nurses and all the staff at Troy Beaumont Hospital have the best medical equipment in the world available to them to try and save my son. And they allowed his mother and I each to be on one side of the bed in his last moments, and for each of us to hold one of his hands in our own. And the only time we had to let go for a few seconds was when they had to use the AED to try to jumpstart his heart. That's the only time we let go. Then we grabbed his hand again. And throughout this entire time, from the high school all the way to the hospital, from start to finish, not a single person treated my son differently because of the color of his skin, or what ethnicity he might be, or what his religion might be. In fact, my wife and I saw in their eyes, each and every person trying to save my child that night, that they were trying to save the life of a child as if he was their own child. Their own child, not just my child. There are no words I can ever say to thank them enough for that. As a parent, there's nothing I can ever say or do to thank you enough. All I can do is pray for you for the rest of my life until I take my last breath. Now we have to move on and do some good in Bilal's name. We started a charity drive to honor his legacy and support the causes which were near to Bilal, such as Gaza, children's education, and children's medical treatment. And as it was mentioned already, some of the friends from the school came up with the phrase, "Be like Bilal." So we've taken that and we're using that on the website on launchgood.com. And the URL is www.launchgood.com/belikebilal. And there's material on your tables with more information as well, so please check it out. Finally, I just want to say thank you to the IAGD administration, the IAGD volunteers, the entire IAGD community for making this event happen. Thank you to all the speakers who are here tonight for sharing your words of wisdom. Thank you to Mayor Ethan Baker, Mayor of Troy, for being here tonight. Thank you, Mr. Tony Morse, for being here tonight as well, principal of Volan Park Middle School, my son's school. Thank you to the Troy High School staff who tried to save his life that night on the floor of the gym. And also, who allowed him the opportunity to step foot in the front door and achieve his dream of being a Troy High School student. Thank you to the entire Troy School District for being there for us. Staff, teachers, families, everyone. Thank you to the Troy Police, Troy EMS, and Troy Beaumont staff for trying to save my son's life that night. But not only for that night, but for being there for us 24/7, 365, as first responders who are always just a phone call away and make us feel safe and protected. I live in the greatest country in the world, hands down. It's the only country I've ever known, and it will always be my home. There's nowhere else I'd rather be. My parents immigrated to the West, but I was born here, I lived here, and God willing, I'm going to die here. My son is buried here. I have one spot left at Whitechapel next to my son. My wife and I are both fighting over it. With all the chips I have left in my life, I'm all in. I'm all in. All in to my city, to my state, to my country, best country in the world. When you get out in the public sphere sometimes, you meet all kinds of people. Some people who may agree with you and some people who may not. I've had people who look at me and they say, go back to your country. I just smile, I look them in the eye, and I say, I'm already here. Thank you all for coming. May Allah forgive all of us. Please pray for my son. Thank you. I'm here again at IAGD tonight. It's actually Monday night, so a few nights after the actual event that we had on Friday. So here's a picture of what the room looked like on Friday when we actually had our event. And here's a picture of what the room looks like tonight, a couple of nights later when I'm here recording this video. I'm here because I want to say a few words that I forgot to say at the original event. So I got this opportunity due to technology that we can have this moment here where I speak a few words and then we're going to add them to the original video. So, first thing I want to say is I know in my speech on Friday, I kept mentioning Troy Beaumont Hospital, and it was once upon a time called Troy Beaumont Hospital, but nowadays it's called Corewell Health. So I just want to say officially it's Corewell Health, but to those of us that have been around long enough, doesn't matter what the sign says at the top of the hospital, doesn't matter what the sign says at the main entrance of the hospital, it's always going to be Troy Beaumont Hospital. On that night, I did thank Mayor Ethan Baker for being with us, but I forgot to thank State Representative Sharon McDonald and Council Members Hodorek, Hamilton, and Chanda. I did thank Mr. Tony Morse, Principal at Bolan, but I forgot to thank Jason Stephen, who spoke right after the principal. So thank you, Jason, for being here and speaking that night. And I forgot to thank all my coworkers that were here that night from Tyler Technologies, the company where I work at. Thank you all for coming and being here with me and my family in this moment. I wanted to share a quick story of Tyler Technologies. I've been working there for 17 years now. So I worked there when Bilal was born. And at the time, I remember it was either the week before or the week after his birth. I was sitting at my desk and I got a meeting invitation on my calendar and I accepted it. I didn't think twice about it. And when it was time for the meeting, I started walking towards the conference room where the meeting was. And I remember seeing everyone standing outside the room and not going in. And I was kind of confused as to what's going on. And as they got closer and closer, I realized they were all waiting for me to go into the room. And basically it was a setup. It wasn't really a meeting. It was an event where they wanted to give me a card and a gift card to celebrate the birth of my son. So they have been there with Bilal since the day he was born. And And until today, they witnessed his death as well. So they've been with him from the beginning to the end. And I also wanted to mention one of my coworkers was here tonight, who was here that night and Friday, Carol Cashman. She taught me everything about my job when I started working here. Originally, we were New World Systems, later bought out by Teller Technologies. We do data conversions. So we basically, whenever a city or a county government across the U.S. buys our software, of course, they're coming off of some original software, moving to a better software, our software. So we convert the data off of their old system into our system. So we do a data conversion. And if you want to know what Carol's nickname at the company is, she's called the Queen of Conversions. That's her nickname. And if you want to know what my nickname is, I don't have a nickname. But if I was to have a nickname, it would be Assistant to the Queen. Because basically she taught me everything I know, and she's the reason that I've been able to survive at this company for 17 years. So thank you, Carol. And finally, I want to let everyone know about something that happened that night. So we started our event around 6:30, but at 6:15, I got a call on my phone, and at the moment, on that night, I didn't even see the call come in or see the voicemail, but it was something very important, and I want to play it for all of you, so then you can see what really happened that night.
Hi, Mr. Ahmad. This is Sergeant Lane from the Troy Police Department. It's about 6:15 on Friday. I'm giving you a call because we were planning to come to the celebration of life for your son, which is supposed to start at 6:30. Unfortunately, we are on a scene now, myself and the other officers that were going to come, of another child that's been unfortunately seriously injured, and we're not going to be able to make it. I wanted to let you know ahead of time so that we did not want to not show up without letting you know. So this is my cell phone number. If you need to, you can please call me back. My number is 2. Again, I'm very sorry that it doesn't look like we're going to be able to make it. So take care, sir. Thank you.
So that was the Troy Police letting me know that they could not be here that night because they were responding to another incident. So what I forgot to do on Friday, what I'm going to do right now, is after I thanked everyone who was here that night, I had to thank the group of people that was not here that night, which was the Troy Police. And why were they not here? Because they were responding to an incident of a child that was critically injured in the city of Troy. So they were in the streets, in the city, doing their job, and that's why they couldn't be here. So where do you think I wish they would rather be? You think I wish they would rather be here, listening to speeches, having dinner, and being present with us? Or do you think I would wish they would rather be on the ground, on the street, in the city, doing their job, what they're meant to do, what they're built to do, what they're supposed to do? And not just any incident. They were responding to an incident of a critically injured child on May 30th, just like they responded to the incident of my child on May 1st, doing what they do. That's the Troy Police. So we love you, Troy Police. Thank you for not being here on that night. Thank you for doing what you do. That's all I have to say. Those are the things that I didn't get to say on Friday, but I wanted to say them now. So that's it. Thank you.